I don't know about you, but I am sick of rumors and theories about who the next coach at LSU is going to be. Well, as Saturday morning turns into afternoon, we are expecting the news to drop very shortly. At least we think it's going to drop very shortly. Who the hell knows? That Lane Kiffin is heading to Baton Rouge. Will it happen, or will this soap opera take a giant, unexpected turn? If it does turn, what's next for LSU? If Kiffin does indeed take the LSU gig, will he remain at Ole Miss through a possible SEC title game appearance and or the college football playoffs? What does this mean for Jon Sumrall, as Tulane is 2 wins away from the college football playoffs themselves? And of course, we're obligated to, contractually obligated, or something along those lines, to spend a few minutes on the Saints heading to Miami to face the Dolphins. Will Kellen Moore set Tyler Shough free, or will we see more indecisiveness in the red zone? Zach Ewing will be here. Gabe Henderson is here. We could have breaking news, so let's roll the Dattitude podcast. It starts right now.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? It has been a long time since we have done this thing on a Saturday. I guess not been super long. The last time I think we did a Saturday show was, dare I say it, when I was eating a Crow Po' Boy by Derek Carr. So I think that was the last time that I did a Saturday show. Anyway, it's been a long time since we've had big time news like we are expected to have today. Hope you have all gone through your tryptophan coma and that you are ready for Dattitude, episode number 444, presented by Evangeline Securities, not Dudley DeBosier, free plug, for a Saturday, November the 29th, 2025. It is the final show of November. Can you believe that? Final show of November. Season number 5 is coming to an end before too long. It won't be too long. If you don't know who I am and you're new here, we thank you for being here. I am your host, Jim Derry, 35 years in the New Orleans. That's right, 35. Did I just say that out loud? 35 years in the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you for being a part of the Dat family. What is different about our show as compared to many of the other shows is you talk to us, we talk back. You are a huge part of the show. The fans' input, that's what we do. We listen to your comments. We show them on the screen. We will show them throughout the show here this morning, as we do usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, live at 11 a.m. Central Time, on a special Saturday because of the breaking news. Obviously, what's going on here. And Lane Kiffin, the reports are breaking. Did anyone watch ESPN this morning? And if we weren't really sure, and look, I've said this before, I've said this 1,000 times, I'm not going to believe it until he actually shows up in an LSU visor or wears the purple and gold tie. However, the reports keep coming through. Matt Moscona has been on the show many times. I think he's been pretty much right on the money from the get-go. He has been telling us that Lane Kiffin is coming to LSU. And I'm going to say this. Pretty much what he said is right on step. He said last night, that yesterday, LSU wasn't 100% sure. They were starting to worry if he was having cold feet. Thursday night into Friday morning. And then as the day went along, they started feeling more and more confident. And now LSU is super confident. And again, here's the thing. What did Lane Kiffin say last night or after the Egg Bowl? What he said was his dad's not here. He talked about his dad and how much he misses his dad, but he was going to lean on Coach Pete Carroll and Coach Nick Saban. And what did Nick Saban say this morning on ESPN? Well, he was talking about how Ole Miss should let him coach if they go to the SEC championship game and or the playoffs, that Lane Kiffin should be able to coach those games. Well, does Nick Saban know something? Of course he does. So if you just read through the lines and listen, look, again, I'm not going to believe it till it actually happens because I've been the one that's been, I don't know. Something about this just doesn't feel right. I think this has been a soap opera already. I'm not sure that the soap opera is over yet. Maybe we won't get an answer today. Maybe we won't get an official answer today. But however, if you listen to Nick Saban, he knows what the answer is, and he knows that Lane Kiffin is leaving. You don't say, I think Ole Miss should let him coach the potential SEC championship game and the college football playoffs if you don't think he's leaving. Well, if he wasn't leaving, well, of course he's going to coach it. So just the words again that Nick Saban said this morning, that's all I need to know. So I think, the other day I said I think 75% chance he comes, 25% chance he doesn't. I mean, I got to say now it's 90-something percent. We're going to talk about it again. Zach Ewing coming on the show around noon, maybe a little afternoon. Gabe Henderson's going to be on the show as well. Again, this is what we're going to talk about, obviously, today. If you want to get your comments in, type them in, and we will show them on the screen. Also, if you're watching and you're new here and you have not subscribed to our Dattitude YouTube page, please go find us on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe to the show. We appreciate it. How was your Thanksgiving? Not to get off topic, just for a second. It seems like work has been nonstop. Again, every day is kind of a Lane Kiffin day. Now Zach says he'll be here about 12:20, so Gabe will probably come on before Zach a little bit, and Gabe may come on after as we go along, talk about some of the comments. But I joke about the tryptophan coma. I'm just warning you. I'm on cup number 2. We went old school today, by the way. Little Mermaid. For those who are been with us since the beginning, this is the mug that I used to always drink out of on the show. I went back old school today. We're going Little Mermaid. My wife and daughter are out at seeing Wicked today, so I figured I'd go. I don't know. Is that Disney? I don't know. Is Wicked Disney, Gabe? I don't know. I think no. I don't know. I think it is. Anyway, so we're going Disney today. Maybe I'm just happy that I got ESPN back from YouTube TV. I don't know. Anyway, all the dominoes, by the way, when you talk about Lane Kiffin, it's not just Lane Kiffin and LSU. There are so many dominoes waiting to fall, and everything hinges on what Lane Kiffin's announcement. Wouldn't it be kind of interesting? And I know this is probably not going to happen. Sometimes chaos is good. It's certainly good for shows. What happens if Kiffin says, you know what? What happens if Auburn beats Alabama later this afternoon? And he says, I just don't. And he talks Ole Miss into letting them wait another week. I know that's probably not going to happen. But what happens if that happens? What happens to the dominoes? You leave Ole Miss, and Ole Miss probably has to say, look, we have to know what happens today. Ole Miss said last week, Keith Carter, the athletic director, said last week, the decision is going to be announced Saturday, the day after the Egg Bowl, which is today, obviously. But what happens if Lane Kiffin says, man, can you please just give me this week? I need to. What does Ole Miss say? They probably say, you know what, or get off the pod. I guess that's what they'd have to say, because Ole Miss is left in a lurch. If Lane Kiffin, I'm sure they know the answer by now. They're probably talking as we speak. The announcement, I think, is going to come out later today. But if it doesn't, what happens to the rest of the dominoes? What happens to Jon Sumrall? Is Jon Sumrall waiting to find? Is he going to Florida? Is it a done deal? Is he going to Auburn? Is he waiting to see what happens with Lane Kiffin? I think it's pretty clear now that Eli Drinkwitz is staying at Missouri. I think it's pretty clear that Jon Sumrall is LSU's second choice. Or is it Kenny Dillingham? Jon Sumrall goes to Florida. And what does Ole Miss do if Lane Kiffin leaves? There are so many dominoes that are just waiting for this one decision, which, by the way, is so screwed up. I did a short yesterday, and I've said this before. Everyone's waiting. They're all going to Lane Kiffin's wedding, and they're going to find out, which girl is he going to marry, because I want to marry the one he doesn't. Well, I have so many problems with this. This is really bugging me. I have so many problems that all these things are hinging on one man's decision. Or maybe they aren't, and I'm making too much of it. We'll see. Let's go to the comment stream. Say hello to everybody. Again, if you want to comment, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you can comment in the comment stream. Gabe will monitor Twitter. If we have any anybody wants to respond on Twitter, we'll try to show those as well. He says they show up. I still haven't seen them. We'll see. All right. Mark Gapsky, good morning. You are back on the road, driving back home to Vegas. All right. I hope your trip to San Diego went well. Good morning, Charles Mangus. Glad I'm having a show. Suspense is killing him. It won't be long. It won't be long before we find out. Tom, hey there, who that's? Thursday felt like Friday. Friday felt like Saturday. And today feels like if only Saturday could be Groundhog Day. I will say this. I had a game last night. St. Charles whipped up on E.D. White, and they are headed to the Division II Select semifinals. Nobody's beating St. Just like no one's beating Carr in Division I, no one's beating St. Charles in Division II. I'll just say that. But yesterday definitely felt like Saturday. I agree. It was weird going to do a game. So I'll tell you, I am ready for this Lane Kiffin stuff to just be over with. I don't know about you guys, but it's getting old. This stuff is getting old. And I hope when we do our Mono-y Monday show, and by the way, for those of you who are new, every Monday we don't have any guests. It's just me. It's just you. Gabe will come on at the end, and we'll talk a little bit, and he'll share his thoughts at the end of the Monday show, and we'll give our prediction for Monday Night Football. But Monday is just me. It's just you. And so we'll have plenty to talk about. It won't be just Saints reaction like we normally do. Who knows? Maybe Derry's dime won't be on the Saints. Maybe it'll be on LSU. We'll see. But I'll have my dime, my weekly commentary on the weekend that was. And yeah, I'm just ready for this to be over. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of talking. How many different pictures of Lane Kiffin can I find? I don't want to use the same one. I'm getting sick of having to find Lane Kiffin photos that I haven't used. So hopefully the next one will be either him standing at a podium most likely at LSU, I would assume wearing a purple and gold tie or something along those lines on Monday morning, maybe. Or him standing at a podium in Hottie Toddyville saying he's staying at Ole Miss. Again, I don't think it's going to happen. Jody Alexander, good morning. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Absolutely. Logan Graffia, good morning. Imagine Joe Judge, of all people, coaching Ole Miss. That's going to be a bigger disaster than his tenure with the Giants. I don't think I agree with that. I think Joe Judge is a decent coach. I just don't think he's an NFL head coach. That doesn't mean, and he's not going to be the coach there at Ole Miss. I think they'll be okay with it without Lane Kiffin going forward. I think that team is set up to make a run. I wouldn't discount Ole Miss at all. I'm telling you right now. Now, look, again, if Auburn wins the Iron Bowl later on this afternoon, we'll be off the air long before that game starts, so don't worry about it. It'll be the same time. By the way, you're going to watch the Iron Bowl. Isn't the Iron Bowl's at 2:30, right, Gabe? No, it's not. It's this evening. Okay, so you have to choose between Tulane and the Iron Bowl. Ha ha. But if the Iron Bowl was the same time as LSU, which one would you pick? Gabe's going to talk about it later, but does anyone even care about the LSU-Oklahoma game? I mean, I care a little bit, I guess. It's those who remember the DiNardo and Curly Hallman days. There were definitely worse times for LSU than there are today. Are they going to go to a bowl game? Do they even want to go to a bowl game? I think they will, but who knows? I don't know. Adam Varner doesn't want Kiffin, but since Sumrall is probably going to Florida, what better options do we have? Look, don't talk. Adam, you can't just say Kiffin. I am not a Kiffin fan. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that I would rather have Sumrall than Kiffin. But that doesn't mean Kiffin's not. Kiffin is tier A option. Okay. As much as I've ragged on him over the past few weeks, there's no question he's tier A option. So don't make it sound like what better options do we have? I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk more about. Also, Kellen Moore needs to let Shough cook. Couldn't agree more. He has shown that he definitely has more upside than Spencer Rattler. I don't know that I'm ready to say that just yet. I need to see more. But that being said, I like what I see so far, and I'm willing. Obviously, well, doesn't matter what I'm willing to do, but we're going to give it a shot, right? You have to give it a shot. Let's see. By the way, guys, I see some comments about, like, we're not talking about basketball today. I'm just letting you know. Not even, like, when I say right now, this is the last time I will even say the word basketball. We're not talking about that today. It's strictly LSU and a little bit of Saints and just a tinge of Tulane. That's about it. Dylan Smith, Saturday show. Okay, you like. Good midday, Dattitude family. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Headed to your fourth Thanksgiving. Okay, all right. Of course, Randall's on the Lane train. I'm going to say this again. It's a perfect segue into just firing. I know you're just trying to stir my drink. Let me take a sip of coffee because, this is cup number 2. Who knows? Maybe I'll get fired up today. I don't know. I just don't get the love for this dude. Okay. Again, I said on a short today. It's like fine. And if you didn't hear it, I'm going to repeat myself. So I'm sorry if you already saw this short, but I'm going to repeat myself. And I don't care. It's like finding the girl or boy of your dreams, okay? And you don't know anything about this person. You go on a couple dates and you start asking questions, but you don't get real answers. And then you find out, oh, man. Because we all know, you could find the person that you're going to marry one date, My wife now, I knew after our first date that I thought there was an 80% chance that we're going to get married, okay? Lane Kiffin could be, just think he's that girl that you talk to, you fall in love with. I want to marry this person. And you find out that person's been married 5 times already. Oh, but he's going to be loyal to me. He's not going to be loyal to you. He's Lane Kiffin. He's going to be loyal to anybody. How long is he going to stay at LSU if he comes here? 2 years? 4 years? 5 years? The point is, what he's going to do to Ole Miss is the same thing he's going to do to you. Okay? Ole Miss, don't get me wrong. They'll be, I've read some tweets today and people are full of crap. I'm so thankful for Lane Kiffin. Now, I've seen way more. I hate Lane Kiffin. Piss off. It's time to go. Ole Miss fans. Well, they want to. Some of them want him going anyway, no matter what happens. There's like, thank you, Lane Kiffin, for bringing us back to respectability. Oh, get out of here. And I guarantee you, LSU fans won't be saying that if he leaves them hanging at the altar in 3 or 4 years. If Alabama comes or whoever, Sarkisian leaves Texas and Texas wants him and he thinks that's a better job. Again, he has the right to do whatever he wants. If he thinks he's bettering himself by going to LSU, then great, go to LSU. But don't think this isn't going to happen to you too, Tigers fans. And again, what makes Lane Kiffin better than the coach you just had? Now, you're getting ready to spend probably even more money than you spent on the last numbnut you had as coach, that you're going to pay off millions and millions of dollars to. And now no one wants him, so he's going to sit on his ass and be rich for the rest of his life and not have to do anything. What makes you think that this guy is better? Oh, he's definitely better. Why? He's Brian Kelly with a personality. What makes him better? I don't get it. I don't get the love for Lane Kiffin. I hope I'm wrong. I hope next year that the transformation is like that. And LSU is back into the playoff conversation. And just like that, LSU's better because Lane Kiffin made him better. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong. Here's one thing Adam and I agree on. What is the upside of Kiffin? We go from a 9-win ceiling to a 10-win ceiling. I don't think the ceiling's any different. Going into this season, what did I say the ceiling was? I thought it was a 10-win ceiling this year. What does Kiffin actually bring? He hasn't won anything meaningful ever. And he's not going to do it this year either because he's going to be gone before Ole Miss goes into the playoffs. Quovadas is here. Happy holidays, Dat Nation. Lane Kiffin immediately makes Tiger Nation more hopeful. Praying this comes to pass today. Look, one thing, Quo, I will tell you this. Even though I'm not a Lane Kiffin fan, I just want it to be done. Let it be done. Let it be done. Rainy Cajun's here. Happy Friday, or he means sorry, Saturday. I know. Matt Bowman says he still thinks that he's not going to LSU. Look, I've pretty much given up my reservations, okay? I'm never going to say it's a hundo, but you got to think it's likely, right? More than likely at this point. Gabe says he's got some thoughts on my short. Oh, come on a little bit. We'll let him rag on me. I know that's what he's going to do. K-Man says he's in Oxford now and says it's 50-50. He has been truly undecided. That's not what the reports say. K-Man, I hope you're right. I will say this, though, K-Man. I thought his mind was made up last week, and I thought it was a done. I mean, that's what all we've heard, right? But I think judging by the reactions that I've seen and the way he acted this week and the way he kind of went into yesterday and even his press conference, which if you try to read through the lines, which is what we do here on the show, if you read through the lines, I think it was pretty clear that he was leaving in the press conference. But it pained him. This is hurting him. And I don't think it's just because he wants to coach the team in the playoffs and he knows that he's not going to be allowed to. I don't think it's just that. I think he truly doesn't. I don't think he's 100% committed to, even though I think he's going to come, I don't think he's 100% committed to coming. Jay Lambert says his 2 cents is Kiffin stays at Hottie Toddy, Sumrall goes to LSU. I mean, look, I think Sumrall's the second choice for LSU, but I don't think there's going to be a need for a second choice. We'll see. UBN's here. Could there be a worse gut to be waiting for a decision of? Let me think. Could there be worse? I don't know. I'm sure I could find somebody if you give me long enough but we're on live TV. Andy Canyonlet says, hands off Sumrall, LSU. I don't know, man. We'll see. Nola Rebel says maybe I can get Lane Kiffin in for Mono Monday. I don't think Lane Kiffin's going to want to come on the show. I mean, I called him Jumpin' Jobby Joe the other day. I'm glad I didn't do a slip of the tongue and call him Jumpin' Jobby, a word that rhymes with Joe that he got really pissed off about. And a housewife or something along those lines. Look, that kid was just trying to get his 15 minutes of fame, by the way. But he wasn't wrong. Just saying. Wasn't wrong. Just saying. Douglas Thornton, where you been? Hello. Glad you're here. Mr. Bassman, 97. Go Gators. Are you saying go Gators because you want Jon Sumrall? I will say this, Mr. Bassman. I don't like Florida. I don't dislike Florida. I don't really have. Florida's not one of those teams that I just root against in the SEC because I just don't like them. There are a few of those. If Jon Sumrall goes to Florida, I will probably find myself rooting for the Gators. I will say that. I will. I hope he succeeds. Fred Wright, I'm not sure what you mean. We're used to it. You're not. You mean your Ole Miss is used to it? I don't know. Douglas also says he's so tired of hearing the Kiffin stuff. Stop. LSU's making it seem bigger than it is. Man, I think what happens there? This is a possibility. Okay, let's say Sumrall's already made up his mind that he's going to, I don't know, Florida or Auburn, where it wouldn't be Auburn at this point. I think it'd be Florida. Let's say Kiffin has already made up his mind. I mean, not Kiffin, Sumrall. Let's say Sumrall has made up his mind already. And Kiffin says, you know what? I'm going to stay at Ole Miss because this coaching cycle is crazy. And I can get another job if I want a couple years from now. I want to go to the playoffs. Let's see what happens. I'm going to roll with it, baby, says Steve Winwood. And Kiffin stays at Ole Miss. And Sumrall goes to Florida. And Kenny Dillingham doesn't want to leave Arizona State, although after last night's pathetic performance, he might want to. Then what? What does LSU do then? What a mess it would be. Maybe the governor can go find someone. Blake Baker? Maybe. And it's funny you bring up Blake Baker, by the way. You know what I think is funny about Blake Baker? I think Blake Baker is a fantastic defensive coordinator. Will he make a good head coach? I don't know. But this is where we are today with LSU football. If all those things that I told you happens, unlikely, I get it. But it's speculation time. We haven't heard official news from Oxford, so this is where we are. If Kiffin were to stay at Ole Miss, and Sumrall says, no thanks, I'm going to Florida. And Dillingham says, I want to stay at Arizona State longer. This is my alma mater. It's where I want to stay. If those three things happen, absolutely a possibility. Okay. Blake Baker becomes a prime candidate to be Tulane's next head coach. So does LSU have to basically get Tulane leftovers? Does that make any sense? A guy that's going to be the prime candidate to be the next Tulane coach, LSU says, no, we're going to keep him and let him be the LSU coach. I mean, is that where things have come for LSU? If things don't fall in line, if the dominoes don't fall, you go from Lane Kiffin, no offense to Blake Baker, but you would go potentially from Lane Kiffin to Blake Baker. That's what happens when you put all your eggs in one basket. And it's a problem for both LSU and Ole Miss, because I think that Ole Miss probably knows the answer by now, but it sounds like Ole Miss were putting all their eggs in the Lane Kiffin basket. LSU certainly was putting all their eggs in the Lane Kiffin basket. And Florida pulled their eggs out of the Lane Kiffin basket maybe just in time. Maybe just in time. It's crazy. UBN says everyone had the same thing to say when they hired Kelly. He's done that at Notre Dame. Imagine what he can do at LSU. If Kiffin can do that at Ole Miss, what can he do at LSU? What could he do at USC or Tennessee? Look, I get the point, and Gabe's talked about, again, he's going to come on a little bit. He'll say this himself, but I get the whole point that you could say this about almost any coach. But my point of why I would rather a Sumrall or a Dillingham is simple. Because I would rather spend, it's not your money. I don't give a damn. Okay. I would rather not go on this mountain giant, humongous contract again. And if you're going to take someone who hasn't done anything, and I don't care what you say, Lane Kiffin, yeah, he's been great the last 3 years. What have you done for me lately? Whoop-de-doo. Okay. I would rather have the up and coming young coach. I think a guy like a Sumrall or a Dillingham is more likely to come to an LSU, and if he were to be successful, stay at LSU for a really long time. Okay. As opposed to a Lane Kiffin who's going to come to LSU and not stay for a really long time. Look, I know this is out there, so it's not gonna be this. I want Kirby Smart, okay, or something along those lines. Someone who's gonna come here and stay here and build this program and get them back to national championship contention and stay here for 8, 10, 12, 15 years. Longer. Whatever it is. That's what I want at LSU. Is it going to happen if it's a Sumrall or Dillingham? I don't know, but I think you have a much better chance for that to happen. I want young, up and coming. We've done the Brian Kelly thing already. Kiffin brings offense. Whoop-de-doo, Ray Ponham. So what? He brings offense. Whoop-de-doo. I keep hearing all these excuses. No one's telling me a reason why he's not Brian Kelly. His record isn't as good as Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's been to a national championship game. Lane Kiffin hasn't. Again, I'm not a Brian Kelly fan. It was time for him to go. I'm glad he's gone. I'm not saying I wish they would have kept Brian Kelly. God, no. They absolutely needed to get rid of Brian Kelly. But no one has yet told me why Lane Kiffin is better. Not a single person. I keep hearing, oh, he's a player's coach. He's this, he's that. None of these things tell me that why he's better than Brian Kelly. Danny Carlos, whoever comes, hopefully they can develop an offensive line because what we have now stinks. That is number one. Build in the trenches. I do think Lane Kiffin would be able to do that, I hope. Bus number 257 in the house. Ron Hendrickson. He's in Mississippi. He appreciates what Kiffin has done for the program, but he's done with his approach to this situation. No matter what happens, the way this is all gone about has been painful. There's got to be a better, and I don't know what the answer is. And I guess I'm going to defend Lane Kiffin here, but because he's trying to hang on and coach Ole Miss as long as they let him. Okay. And I don't blame him for that. Look, I'm not blaming Lane Kiffin in this whole thing. Sure, he's getting he's had a lot more than 15 minutes. All eyes are on Lane Kiffin, which is what he wants. I get that. However, what is he supposed to do, I guess? He's trying to hang on. He desperately wants to be able to coach this Ole Miss team. And someone commented on on my short, I think, and said that Ole Miss is going to let him coach the playoffs. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not going to let him. I've heard all these things. Take the coaching staff with them. I think they would rather have Joe Blow from Oxford come in and coach this team rather than, if he's going to leave, they're going to make him leave. I don't think there's any chance they let him coach the playoffs, no matter who leaves with him. Luandoro, hello. Lane Kiffin definitely should come on my show. I'm not calling him Jumpy Jobby Ho. I'm not. I wouldn't do it. I do have respect for him. I really do. I know I'm not a fan of his, and I don't want him to come as an LSU guy, as someone who went to LSU. I don't want Lane Kiffin at LSU. However, I do have respect for what he's done at Ole Miss. You can't not. That doesn't mean I think he's the best solution. While Bill says they don't want Sumrall, you mean Ole Miss doesn't want Sumrall? Or LSU doesn't want Sumrall? Who doesn't want Sumrall? LSU, I assume you mean? You're 100% wrong if you think that Sumrall is not option number 2. There is no doubt in my mind that Sumrall is option, 0 doubt in my mind that Sumrall is number 2. Enough people that I respect have said that. Drakewitz was number 2. Again, the people that I respect and trust have said that Sumrall is now number 2. There is no doubt in my mind that he is number 2. That doesn't mean that Sumrall wants to be LSU's number 2 or would go to LSU if given the option. I think he would. He'll have time. If the announcement comes today and Kiffin says, I'm staying at Ole Miss, Sumrall's not making an announcement until tomorrow. There's a reason for that. Good morning, Earl. Well, it's afternoon now, but good afternoon anyway. Maybe, some of y'all are still in morning time. I know Mark Gapsky's still morning where he is. Good morning, S. Callie. She wants to know what happened if we don't get Kiffin all the eggs and Kiffin. Yeah. Telling you, they have somebody with all their eggs in Kiffin's basket is going to be left with nothing but yolk and shells. Douglas Thornton says LSU's going to look like a clown if this falls through. It will damage their brand. I guess, things are forgiven in a hurry. Things are forgiven in a hurry. But you're right. Their brand is going to be damaged. Part of that are from outside forces. That's a whole nother story. Chris Roth. Kelly had no idea about working in the SEC. Who gives a shit? Whatever. He didn't fit into LSU's personnel. Give me a break. Oh, y'all like to go by records when it's convenient. When it's not convenient, we don't care about records and what happened, numbers and blah, blah, blah. But Lane Kiffin's done this in the past 3 years. Shut up. Get out of here. And I don't mean you shut up. I mean the general public. It's just annoying. It's birds chirping in my ear while I'm trying to talk. Shoo. Don't give me stats and numbers when they're convenient. Either use them all the time or don't use them ever. It's not good in the SEC. Whoop-de-doo. Was Kiffin good at Tennessee? What did he do at Tennessee? Taydoc 7 says probably have to go to the portal, find a quarterback. He was 7-6 at SEC, says Gabe. Thank you. Yeah. I think you're almost certainly going to have to go in the portal to get a quarterback because it ain't here. And I don't think you want to start a true freshman. All right. We're about to go to Zach's in the green room, but a couple more here. James Davis. Oh, what is he talking? 7. Oh, he's talking about Charles's comment. If Saban never left LSU, would he still be the head coach at LSU? Is that some riddle wrapped in a conundrum? If Saban would have never left LSU, would he still be at LSU? That complete. You just blew my mind, Charles. I don't know. Randall, I've told you why I think Sumrall and Dillingham. You're not listening. Are better than Kiffin. I've told you 100 times. You're not listening. I don't have time to say it again. I'll probably get into it in a little bit. All right. Who else is here that's new? A-Town, good afternoon. Well, after all this coaching madness is over with, who picks up Billy Napier? I don't know, Florida fans. Who picks up Billy Napier? Shit. Chad Parker. Must be an Ole Miss fan. LSU can have that drama queen. Lance hasn't done bleep, and you guys putting up 100 million. Good luck with that weasel. Dude never had a great day. That's a hater. I don't blame you, by the way, if you're an Ole Miss fan and you're a hater. I don't blame you for one bit. All right, let's move on. Let's talk to someone who has been following this as close. Oh, he's a Gator. Okay. Well, that makes even more sense. Okay. Yeah, even more sense. Zach Ewing, good welcome this morning. The LSU saga continues. Hopefully it's over very soon. First of all, much more importantly than talking about Lane Kiffin, how did the youth soccer game go?
It was a rough one, man. We conceded early on a goal that should have been called offside, and I had to yell at the ref, and then just kind of downhill from there. So I'm gonna fine. No, I'm just kidding. This is the winter league is sort of just their practice league, if you will, before they play in the club in the spring. So,
all right, first question. It comes from Nola Rebel, and I don't think if I heard from Nola Rebel, it was a lot earlier, and I just don't remember, and I'm old. Nola Rebel wants to know: does Coach O come back to LSU if Kiffin comes?
Yeah, I think there's a good chance. Like, I think there's probably some good PR in that. It's hard to tell exactly with the way things ended with Coach O, but I think most people would welcome him back as a position coach and a recruiter. And one of the conversations with Lane Kiffin, if he does indeed come to LSU, is going to be, well, what's his staff going to look like? Because all of those staff members are going to have to make the same decision he did, where, hey, I can go to LSU and I could get a raise and I could, have a better chance year in and year out at making the playoff, winning a national championship going forward. But I'm now giving up my chance at making a playoff run with this Ole Miss team. And so some of those guys will probably come with Kiffin. Some of them probably choose to stay and be on the interim staff and maybe have a chance at being, on the Ole Miss staff going forward, or even getting a promotion there. So there will be some openings on his staff. And I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, they're not all going to come. I mean, some are going to stay at Ole Miss just to be able to coach what's going on. UBN says he wants to see you get mad at a soccer game so bad.
I try to keep it civil, but I have been known to make a few comments. I always the poor refs at these games are like high school kids, and so I don't want to get too into it.
I know you'd be surprised at this, but I actually coached soccer for 8 years, and I officiated soccer for about 6 or 7 years. I know that was. I don't think I ever told you that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
You walked right into that.
I did. I really did. I did not mean to do that.
I'm sorry. I'm around my kids so much that it's like I told you this last week. It's in my brain now. They're like high school kids, and so I'll point out like, hey, you missed an offside, but I try not to get like mad at them.
Yeah, I got mad when I was coaching. I know that'll shock you. Let's just get into it here. Okay. We've been kind of talking about this off and on. You've been pretty stuck on Kiffin and thinking it was going to happen weeks ago. I have been less believing. I mean, I guess now we'll know for sure, but we're going to know by the end of the day, wouldn't you think?
I mean, I think so. It's just everything about this, it sounds like if you heard about any other candidate, all of the college football insiders, your Ross Dellingers, your Bruce Feldmans saying that This is all but a done deal, that means it's a done deal. But with Lane Kiffin, he's out here tweeting about the Mississippi State Ole Miss fight yesterday and how one team left the bench and one didn't. And he's out here trolling on Twitter. Like, has he already made the decision? I think so. But is there a conversation now where it's like, well, because Texas A&M lost last night, let me hold on and see what happens in the Iron Bowl tonight. And if Alabama loses, I'd like to coach in the SEC championship game next week. And then will both schools allow me to do that? And who knows? I thought it was going to be done this morning. Here we are at almost 12:30 and nothing official has come down yet, or not even official, but nothing concrete has come down yet. So LSU plays at 2:30. Is it going to happen in the middle of the LSU game? Like, I just don't. I don't want to say anything with 100% certainty.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, but I mean, look, I have kind of just, as one who is not a fan of Kiffin. Okay, I think I give up. I mean, it just, after everything, the way that he talked about, he used the words they, talking about his own team yesterday in the press conference. And then who's going to talk to? He's going to talk to Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. What did Nick Saban say this morning? Nick Saban's talking about how Ole Miss needs to let him coach a potential SEC championship game and the playoffs. Well, why would you say that if you thought he was staying there? So, I mean, everything is pointing. You don't even need to read through the lines. It's pretty damn obvious, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, if you were going to stay, why wouldn't you have said that already? If you were going to stay, why would Nick Saban be on College Game Day campaigning for you to be allowed to coach the SEC championship game? All signs point to it. I'm just saying, is there a chance that he makes some crazy last-minute change of mind?
Yeah.
It's Lane Kiffin. And by the way, when you say you think Kenny Dillingham or Jon Sumrall are better than Lane Kiffin, the one area where I agree with you, because I don't think you can say that. I mean, you're free to your own opinion. You can't say that based on any real evidence. But the one area that I would say that is true is that if any other coach comes into LSU and is successful and is making the playoff and competing for championships, they're going to stay at LSU as long as they want to, because there's no better job in college football. Even if Ohio State comes calling, you're like, well, it's kind of a lateral move, right? Like, these are probably the two best jobs in the country. Why would I move from one to the other when I'm happy here? Lane Kiffin may be the exception to that, because he would flirt with the NFL at some point.
It's not just that, though. That segues into this, and I hate to interrupt, because you're at a perfect point for me to segue into this comment. Lane not staying at Ole Miss, he's going with the money. Just ask Sexton. Well, that's the reason why I don't think he's not necessarily married to LSU if he comes here or wherever he goes or whatever he does. If someone shows him the money, all right, if he's making $15 million a year now, and Ohio State, Alabama, whoever it is, decides they got their sights set on Lane Kiffin, just like LSU did, they're going to put all their eggs in Lane Kiffin's basket, and 3, 4, 5 years from now, say they're willing to pay whatever buyout there is or whatever there is and give Lane $22 million a year. He's going to go. He's going to follow the money, just like he's following the money right now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's following the money exactly. I mean, I have to point out he did not do that in 2020. Was it 2022?
I mean, he could have gone 2 years ago. I thought it was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, one of the two. The point is, he could have followed the money then, and he didn't. So he has not always done that. But I think he is one of these guys who is, and this is why he's a good coach, by the way, he is wired to never be satisfied.
Right.
I'm never going to be satisfied with what we are. I'm never going to be satisfied with how we're playing, but I'm also never going to be satisfied in my own career. And so that's why even if he comes to LSU and has a good 5-year run, at some point, if the NFL comes calling, in the back of his head, is he going to say, I want to climb that mountain too?
I think it's more than just the NFL, though, Zach. I think that if an Alabama were to call, I mean, Lord knows Kalen DeBoer ain't staying in Alabama that much longer. And so maybe Alabama goes through another coaching cycle in 3 or 4 years, then they're looking for another coach that's not Nick Saban. Lord knows when you lose a Nick Saban, you're constantly looking for coaches. Let's say Sarkisian molds for the NFL. I think he could potentially leave and go to a Texas over an LSU. I think in his mind, maybe that's a better job. So I don't know. I just think there are other jobs that do rank ahead of LSU on some people's pecking order.
Maybe. I mean, it's possible, but more to the point, we can argue about individual jobs. Would he go to Texas or Ohio State or Alabama or what? He's got one of the best 5 jobs in the country if he comes to LSU. I don't think that's really a concern, but it's more just, are you going to go through this circus? Look at what Ole Miss is going through. I mean, he's basically held the whole program hostage here for a few weeks. There is a chance that is an LSU's future if they hire Lane Kiffin. That's the risk. I think the football side of it, he's going to be very good. And that's why if you have a chance to make the hire, you do. And you come what may. I mean, look, if you like LSU fans in the chat, would you take this deal? You're going to win. You're going to be in the playoff 3 times in the next 5 years with 1 national title. But Lane Kiffin is going to flirt with other jobs twice and leave for 1 after 5 years. I think you take that deal. If you get a national championship out of it, you probably take the deal.
Well, I also look, if he does get this team back to, I mean, there's a 12-team playoff. There's no reason why LSU shouldn't be in the conversation for the playoff every single year, like Alabama is, or like Georgia is, or like Texas is.
You don't make it necessarily every year, but you're in
correct.
The
like you're right there. You're right there. You're at least in the conversation. And so, if he can do this, I will say there is a chance that he comes here and he says, you know what? And I hope this is the case. Okay. I hope that I'm wrong about all this and then he's going to leave, just come in. Maybe he comes here and says, you know what? I do want to be Nick Saban-like. And while Bill says Lane learned so much from Saban, they're just alike. I don't think they're just alike. I think they're personality-wise, I don't think they're alike at all. But I will say that maybe he wants to be like Saban. And he knows that if he comes to LSU, again, this is the defending him part. I'm giving the other side. Maybe he comes here and says, you know what? I can be a legend at LSU if I stay there. And 20 years from now, be a 20-year college coach and finish it out at LSU and, maybe win 3 natties. And, that might not be enough for some ridiculous LSU fans, but you know what I mean. So maybe he can be a legend here. I don't know.
It's possible. And I do think Kiffin has changed some. It's interesting if anybody has watched the ESPN Plus documentary. It's like an hour-long documentary on Lane Kiffin, the many lives of Lane Kiffin, or the many I can't remember what it's called.
I haven't watched it, but I'm going to.
It's very interesting, and some of it is a little bit of a puff piece on him, like to a certain extent. But it does go back through, and you forget all of the things he's been through in his life, and the way that he left the Raiders, and Al Davis holds this press conference to just like berate Lane Kiffin for 30 minutes. Nobody, I mean, when has that ever happened with anybody else? And then he leaves Tennessee in sort of the middle of the night, and there's like riots and people are burning couches and stuff. And then he goes to USC and he's fired on the tarmac. I mean, everywhere he's been. Then he goes to Alabama and Saban tells him to leave before the national championship game because he's taken a job at FAU. Like everywhere he's been has been dramatic, except for Ole Miss, where he sort of has seemingly found a little bit of inner peace. And so it is possible that he comes to LSU and he has found this inner peace and he is able to say, look, I'm good now. I have a top 5 job in the country. I have a chance to win a national championship. Now, obviously he's going to have to do well for LSU to want to keep him here, but maybe he has changed to the point where he won't flirt with a new job every 2 years. We just haven't seen the evidence of that.
UBN's got a great question. So I'm presented this side of why maybe Kiffin would do what I'm saying he won't do and stay at LSU for longer than 4 or 5 years. Now I'm going to go back to my side, and UBN presents my take. What makes everyone think that when he comes here, they automatically make the playoffs in a natty? Everyone said the same thing with Kelly.
No, that's true. I mean, there's no guarantees, but I think you are seeing Lane Kiffin do it right now. I know Brian Kelly did it shortly before he came to LSU also, but it just feels like a better fit for the NIL era. That's when Brian Kelly was hired.
I don't disagree with that. I agree with that part of it.
Stage of the NIL era. And it turned out, I don't think Brian Kelly was a very good fit. He didn't embrace it right away. He finally did this last year, but by then it was kind of like he was already in the crosshairs as far as like, you better win now. And this season just didn't go very well. And I think Lane Kiffin is a better bet to just come in and rework that roster like immediately and win. That it's no guarantee. There's no guarantees, but I do think it's a reasonable expectation.
Randall says, because those are the expectations. Well, those are always the expectations. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's the same expectations that LSU always has. I mean, there's no question. So anyway, Tom says maybe Lane has outgrown the drama. On the other hand, maybe he thrives on turmoil. We'll probably find out soon enough.
Yeah.
One more here.
God, I hope so.
What's up with Brian Russell? Just Derry, you don't like anyone. I've just told you. Were you not listening, or were you not here, Brian? I just told you, like right before Zach came on, who I like. There are two guys that I like. I like Sumrall and I like Dillingham, and I've told you why multiple times. People they just come in here and they just say whatever. I mean, if you don't like if you don't agree with me about Lane Kiffin, you don't just have to make something up. I've told you who I want to be at LSU multiple times. I know.
Yeah,
it's hard. I get it. It's hard to hear.
Dillingham's an interesting one, right? Like the Arizona State did not look very good last night.
They did not. They looked terrible last night.
And I'm not basing this on one game, but they were 8-4 this year. Lost to Mississippi State also. I worry a little bit with him. Was that a kind of a one-hit wonder where they got hot at the end of the year last year? They had this guy in Scadaboo who was like an emotional beacon. They were like top 15 coming into the year, and just, I mean, they were fine, but 8-4 in the Big 12. I think you look at that and you look at Lane Kiffin, and it's pretty obvious which one's a better bet to come in and win right away.
Gabe points out they have been heavily banged up, including their quarterback, who might come to LSU.
Say the same thing about LSU, and they fired Brian Kelly anyway.
Yeah. Andy Canyon says, rework the roster. The portal is killing college football. These guys should not be free agents. I'm going to say what I would say about that as well. I don't like the portal either. I get it. But however, the NCAA it's their own fault that this is where this is. The portal is not going anywhere. And honestly, nor should it. The NCAA, they would have been just more open to giving players money 40, 50 years ago, instead of being the old farts that they are. And this is the way that it's going to be. They put themselves in a corner, and they deserve what they get. So that's my opinion on that.
Pandora's box is open, man. I don't like
exactly not going anywhere.
I don't know how at some point you have to hope that water finds its level, just as far as the marketplace and people saying, okay, $20 million is okay to spend on a roster, but $40 million is ridiculous. But I just don't see that happening. It's an arms race, and it hasn't affected the health of the sport somehow. I mean, TV ratings are as high as they've ever been. Stadiums are still full. We're still sitting here having a show about a coach who may or may not come. And there's a lot of people watching and commenting, like, people still love this stuff. So does that mean it's going to slow down? It doesn't seem like it.
Besides the size of conferences, okay, take away the NIL and the portal and whatever else. What is really different about college? And well, of course, the size of the playoff, I get it. But in the grand scheme of things, college football, at least for the last 40, 50 years, has been a game of the haves and the have-nots. And the haves and the have-nots are really not that much different than they were when I was a kid. In the grand scheme of things, I'm sure, sure, there's no Tom Osborne at Nebraska. Nebraska's not really a superpower anymore. But, I mean, you think about the teams when I was a kid. Alabama was a power. They still are. Ohio State was a power. They still are. LSU at times was a power. The SEC, anybody in the SEC could be a power. I mean, it's all about the big conferences, and maybe the sizes of the conferences are different. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think college football in general, the actual game itself on the field, and who is good every year and who isn't good, it's not all that much different.
No, like, I guess things have changed. Nebraska has gone way down, and you've got some more new powers that pop up, like in Oregon. Miami and Florida State had a couple decades, of dominance, and now they've faded back. But you've got a team like Georgia
Texas Tech has got all this money. They're going to get it. They're going to be in there.
Georgia was good, but not great. Now they're obviously a national power every year. I don't know. NIL, I think, evens the playing field in some ways, mostly because it's a depth thing. A team like LSU is a perfect example. 10 years ago, I think they probably can weather the storm of all the injuries they had this year a little bit better than they did this year, where this year you have a couple of injuries on that offensive line and Garrett Nussmeier's banged up, and you're looking around and going, wait a minute, we got to play those guys. They're not ready to play in the SEC. And that's what happened to LSU. And I don't think that would have happened 10 years ago. And so in some ways, the playing field's evened in that respect, where because of the advent of NIL, if you have a guy like Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss who has or like Texas Tech, they've embraced NIL, they've got the resources to do it, they're able to compete now with national powers. And so I think that part of it is actually good for the sport, where more teams feel like they can come in and compete. Indiana. But you do worry about the long-term sustainability of that.
No, for sure. Hakeem, big dog, what's going on? It says right. Somebody actually said I was right. I don't get that very often. I mean, that's Gabe, mark the timestamp on this one. I got to put this one in the timestamp. The problem should have been fixed. NCAA has made trillions off the athletes, and now it's time to pay up. Not mad at these kids at all. No, I'm not mad. Wouldn't be mad at the kids anyway. I'm not mad at. Look, even though I don't necessarily want Lane Kiffin, and if I were Ole Miss fan, I might be mad. I get it, but Lane Kiffin, he has the right to do whatever he wants to do, and if he thinks this is bettering himself, I'm not saying Lane Kiffin's doing anything wrong. I just kind of, I guess, aggravated with the whole way that this is going on and everything. And we can go into this part of it now. It seems like all these different dominoes that are going to fall, they're waiting for the giant domino to fall first. And it kind of is really stupid that we're waiting on one domino to fall before we can figure out what everything else is going to happen.
It's pretty crazy, man. I tell you what, whoever LSU or Ole Miss, whoever ends up with Kiffin, is going to have a good time watching the world burn for the rest of this coaching carousel, because somebody is going to be left with, I don't know if it's Florida or if it's Auburn, or somebody's going to be left with, oh my God, we had to hire that guy. Like Penn State's talking about.
It's already going to happen in Arkansas.
Yeah, Penn State's talking about the James Madison coach, and he may be a good coach.
Exactly.
He may be the next Signetti for all I know, but I guarantee you, when Penn State fired James Franklin, they did not think they were going to have to hire a coach from the Sun Belt, and somebody's going to have to end up doing that. And it's like, that part of it is super entertaining to me, just seeing where all these schools end up and where the musical chairs, who ends up, like, does Sumrall then, does he prefer Auburn or Ole Miss or Florida? If Florida wants to get involved, does Florida go after Jed Fish and then Sumrall chooses Auburn or Ole Miss? But then what does the other one do? What does a team like Arkansas do that's even a rung below that? Are they going to have to go hire a coordinator? I just don't know. It's fascinating.
I think they're gonna have to hire a coordinator. By the way, Blake Baker's stock keeps going up and up probably as well. Kyle Sherman says, I've heard through the AD grapevine that the difference between now and USC for Lane Kiffin is the accountability he infuses into his staff and players. May have learned that from Saban. Maybe he has. I hope that he has.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned this. I covered some USC games when Lane Kiffin was the head coach there. I wasn't covering the team necessarily like a beat writer because I was in Bakersfield, but the USC quarterback was Cody Kessler, who was from Bakersfield. And so I would drive down to the Coliseum a few times a year and cover the games. And I would ask Lane Kiffin questions about Cody because I was always writing stories about Cody. And Kiffin was kind of intimidating. He was kind of a 1,000-pound personality, like where he was always, I don't know. It was never that he was rude. It was never a Bob Knight situation, but he definitely saw himself as the center of attention. And I do wonder if that has diminished as his career has gone on. Quite possibly.
My friend Josh Preston is here. He says he wonders why the NIL isn't sustainable. Are rich people about to disappear or something? No, I don't think NIL is only going up and up, and there's going to be a time when I think that you're going to see more. You know how we don't ever see good players make it to their senior year? That could change at some point. I think, depending on how much money gets in there, you could see players decide whether they want to come out. Well, is it financially worth them coming out at some point soon?
Look at what's happened in baseball. Like, Dylan Cruz probably
Absolutely.
never even comes to LSU if it weren't for NIL. He'd probably go straight to the draft because the signing bonus he would have gotten as a first-round draft pick out of high school would have been much higher than anything he certainly would have made out of a scholarship at LSU. But now when you combine the fact, hey, I could make maybe not quite as much, but almost as much through NIL, plus I get to play in the SEC for 3 years. I get to go play in Omaha instead of playing in, Morgantown, West Virginia in front of 37 fans on a Tuesday night. Like, I mean, it makes, like, it's happened in baseball. I could definitely see it happening in football.
Ray Ponoff says, this is one of the comments today. I want Kelly to go to Penn State so we can recoup some money. I think that's a done deal. I don't think LSU can now any longer recoup money. I think the settlement pretty much is done, right?
No,
Zach?
they do. They do?
Okay.
Yeah, it's offset by, I don't know if it's the full salary he gets for a new job or if it's just a portion of it, a percentage of it. But he is required by the terms of the settlement to be looking for new jobs. And if he should get one, his salary, the buyout is offset by his new salary.
Okay.
Now, what I'm curious about, because I personally am not sure Brian Kelly even wants to coach anymore. Brian Kelly's, certainly old enough and wealthy enough to where retirement is an option. And if that's the case, does he just, I'm going to go, coach my nephew's high school team or something? I don't know what the limits
and you make
to that.
$60,000 a year, and you can offset the $60,000 a year part of it.
Yeah, and as Gabe just mentioned in the studio chat, like if he gets a media job, if he becomes a college football analyst, that salary.
Who the hell
offsets.
would want him as an analyst?
He's fairly well spoken in front of the media. I could see somebody
well spoken, but he has the personality of a sand gnat.
Oh, I don't agree with that. Brian Kelly actually he can actually be entertaining when he wants to be. I think he'd be fine on TV. He'd be better than some of the guys they have now.
Okay, if you say so. Now here's someone that's bitter. Pensacola. I wonder who they root for. At Pensacola 43, $100 million for a coach that has never won a natty. Look, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, Pensacola, but I know why you're bitter.
Gabe has said this before. There's like 3 guys who have won a national championship. Would you pay $100 million for Jimbo Fisher? He's got a national championship.
Would I?
Nobody would. I'm just saying that's a rhetorical question because Lane Kiffin is obviously a better coach than
I don't
Jimbo
think
Fisher.
I would pay $100 million for anybody, Zach. That's just, even if I had, I don't know, if it were up to me and I were paying the salary and somebody said, you know what, we're going to put $500 billion in the bank for you. And you can decide who the LSU coach is, but you got to pay. If I had $500 billion in the bank and I was paying it, I wouldn't pay $100 million for anybody. That's just ridiculous, in my opinion. I don't know.
It's the going rate, man. You gotta pay the going rate.
Mont Dog says, no, they basically just took off the fired for cause thing. Okay, because he still has to abide by the terms. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I didn't get. I appreciate the clarification. Anita wants to know, hello, Anita. Good to see you. Is it possible for a JUCO athlete to get NIL sponsored? I think it is, right? I think so. JUCO, yeah.
I honestly don't know because they're not under the NCAA purview. But
I know this. The NIL exists in the LHSAA. You can get NIL money as a high school player in Louisiana.
And so I assume the NJCAA, the Junior College Athletic Association, abides by the same rules because they don't want to get themselves in legal hot water. So yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Gabe says A&M would pay someone that kind of money. The price of brick is going back up. UBN wants to know, is anyone offering Coach O $100 million? Go Tigers. Chad says nobody but Kirby for $100 million. Mont Dog says Saban is worth $100 million. Okay, Mont Dog, you got me. If Saban wanted to come back, I would, and I had $500 bill in the bank, I'd say, all right, I'll give you $100 mil, Saban.
How long of a contract are you giving Saban for $100 million? 2 years? He's getting $50 million a year.
He's Saban. I don't give a damn. That dude probably, what's his name from the Bills he's over 100. He's still living. I don't know. Just saying. If he wants to coach, he can. All right. Before we move on, because I know you're gonna have to run soon, and I do want to touch on the Saints before you leave. Gabe's question of the day, and he's going to ask this in a minute, but Gabe's question of the day is, does anybody give a rat's ass about LSU's game against Oklahoma today? Are y'all going to talk about on the LSU Insiders show?
Oklahoma fans do because they're trying to get in the playoff, but I don't think anybody in the state of Louisiana cares.
How does LSU on that end? And I didn't even put the bug on. I didn't even put this the pregame bug with the line, which by the way is going up. People are betting all over Oklahoma. The under, by the way, is going down. I think it was like 34.5 this morning, but LSU is now on. The last I looked, it was 11.5 point favorite. By the way, Anita, miss you as well. Thank you for joining the show. I didn't even put the bug in there, but does LSU score today? How do they score?
Defense sets up a short field. I mean, like seriously, that's probably what's going to happen. Now, either a defensive touchdown or just they get a stop inside the 15 and Oklahoma punts and you get the ball at midfield and you only need a couple first downs to get a field goal. I mean, like something like that could happen. But yeah, Oklahoma's defense is for real.
My dog says an LSU fan, we don't give a crap about the OU game. I'm just gonna say it has been worse. Like for guys that are old, and I know we've got a lot of Gen Zers in the crowd, and so they don't remember the old days. But I remember the Curly Hallman and Jerry DiNardo days. Okay, trust me, it has been way worse. And lastly, before we move on, because we are going to move on, and we'll get back to Kiffin in a minute with Gabe. Does LSU go to a bowl game?
Oh yeah. The SEC is not going to let them not go to a bowl game.
Because
the SEC gets a lot of money from that.
Game.
And well, that's another question, but they share that revenue with all the SEC schools, and so they're not going to tell especially a big brand like LSU. LSU is not going to be able to get out of that. They're going to have. I mean, shoot, what was that? Was 4 years ago, right after Kelly was hired, when they went to the Texas Bowl and didn't even have a quarterback and had like 30 scholars players or something. They still made them play. They're going to play. In fact, I think Michael Van Buren, you could see him play in that game because it's sort of an audition for him to either come back to LSU next year or more likely to find a starting spot somewhere else.
I think LSU is going to have to dive right into the portal as soon. I mean, again, and I don't want to stay on LSU too long, but don't you think if it's Kiffin, that's like the first thing he does is he dives into the portal for a quarterback?
Absolutely. Yeah. Or one among the first things he does, you're going to need, even if you decide Van Buren is a guy, you need somebody else. And that's the only scholarship quarterback you would have coming back. You need a backup. So you're going to have to, they got the freshman coming in, but you need somebody. And I think you probably need a starter.
I didn't make a slide for this, but what is your prediction for LSU Oklahoma today?
I honestly never even picked it because we didn't do it on the show, but I'll say 17-6 Oklahoma.
Okay, so you got under, and that LSU covers. It is now 11.5, or at least it was this morning when I looked. I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna pick some rando score out of the air and say people are gonna lose their money today. I'm going to say LSU is going to cover and it's going to go over. How? I have no idea. Don't ask me how it's going to happen. This is going to say it's going to be weird. I'm going to say 24-13, which would make it cover and just barely. LSU covers just barely, and it goes over. That would screw everybody.
I mean, it's not like LSU doesn't have talented players. I still think they're playing hard. At least on defense, they are.
And I think Frank Wilson will make it. I don't think they're going to quit under Frank Wilson. So
here's my question. How would LSU fans react if they somehow won this game today? Like, how do you even feel? You're like, oh, cool. What? How?
Yeah, I think it'd be whoop deep. And here, see, my dog, you stealing my lines now. I know you don't. I know you're new, and we welcome you. Glad you're here on the show. I use this all the time whenever someone asks me. I said it last night on the broadcast. Someone asked me for my prediction. The prediction is pain. That's my best Clubber Lang imitation. That's my prediction too. Tom says Oklahoma wins 31-13. So my dog says that we would second line if LSU wins. All right.
I don't know. Like, who cares? I do want to correct myself. Gabe said in the private chat, is Hurley not back? Colin Hurley is a scholarship quarterback who I guess is slated to be back. You can't go into next year with him as counting on him to be the guy. I mean, you got to bring something.
No, you got to. Real quick, your prediction on Jon Sumrall. Where does he go? What does he announce he's going tomorrow?
I'm going to say either Auburn, or if Ole Miss opens, I think he would be more interested in Ole Miss. That's my prediction.
I'm going to predict Ole Miss as well. I think he's going to Ole Miss. I think that Ole Miss probably already knows. They've probably been knowing. I think they've been in contact, again, with the same agent. They both have Jimmy Sexton as their agent. I don't know. Ryan O'Shea says, how will we score? I don't know. They're going to find a way. Charles Mangus says Oklahoma 24, LSU 6. Apalachicola says 24-17 Oklahoma. While Bill says he's hoping LSU wins tonight so Vandy might get in the playoffs. Would that put Vandy in the play? I don't think Vandy's going to the playoffs. Huh?
I mean, they have a chance, but it's like it's crowded there in that 10 to 15 range because now you've got Texas, which I know has lost 3 times, but they've got wins over Oklahoma and Texas A&M. And one of the losses was to Ohio State. The other one was another one was to Georgia. Third one was a bad loss to Florida, but they've got a case. I think Michigan's losing right now, but if Michigan were to win, they would have a case. Miami has a case. Like it gets crowded up in there. So I think if Oklahoma loses, they're probably out.
Gabe and I are going to have something to talk about. He says Texas deserves the spot over Vandy. That doesn't necessarily go with your TCU argument from a couple of years ago, does it?
I mean, Texas beat Vandy head to head. So that if
I'm not saying I disagree with him. I don't disagree with him. I'd rather see Texas too.
I think you have to go with Texas there, but
all right. Well, all right. Real quick prediction on Tulane this afternoon this evening. They're playing Charlotte. Do they cover the 29.5-point spread?
Sure. They're going to be fired up. I mean, I don't know. Who's
whatever.
betting on 29?
Call the number. If you're betting on the Tulane Charlotte game, call the number. You need to call the number. I bet on
North Texas yesterday. I won North Texas minus 20.5 yesterday against Temple. They won by 27, I think. So I did win that bet, but that one was a little more like North Texas wants to make a statement, and they've got this high-powered offense that scores 1 billion points against bad teams. And so I like that one. Tulane, I mean, honestly, they've done enough. They don't need style points. If they win, they're going to host the AAC championship game, and that's going to be for a playoff spot. So
I thought you couldn't call it the AAC anymore. I thought they called it the American Conference now.
I just called it the AAC so they can come for me.
You're gonna get ripped. The police are gonna come after you, the style police. Ruby says Lane Kiffin, LSU, Jon Sumrall to Ole Miss, Blake Baker to Florida. Blake Baker to Florida. I'm telling you, Blake Baker is gonna be more in demand. It's gonna happen. All right, what's that?
Billy Napier to Tulane comes back to Louisiana.
I think there's gonna be some weird stuff happening over the course of the next week.
I'm telling you, man, it's musical chairs, and there's only so many good coaches out there.
Exactly. There's gonna be some weird stuff. Brian Turner, the percentage on LSU landing Lane Kiffin. I hate to say this, but I think at this point it's about 92.5%. Zach?
Yeah, I was gonna say 90. So we're in lockstep there.
Right.
I'm leaving 10% because you never know what Lane Kiffin's gonna do, but it sure feels like it's LSU at this point.
We're going to come back to LSU. I promise, for those LSU fans who want to hear more about Lane Kiffin, we're going to talk about that more. And we probably got about another half an hour left in the show. We are contractually obligated, or something along those lines, to talk about the New Orleans Saints. Don't care. I actually care about this game. I think it's going to be interesting. This is an interesting game to me. The New Orleans Saints heading to Miami Gardens or wherever the hell the Dolphins play. I don't know what town, what city, an actual incorporation they play in. But this line has changed. It is going in favor of the Saints. People are betting on the Saints. They're betting on the over. It is now the Saints are now plus 5.5. The total 42.5. And my question, if you can't see the screen, is will Kellen Moore set Shough free? Finally. Let him do his thing in the red zone. Stop putting Taysom Hill in.
Yeah, there's a crazy, I don't have the number in front of me, but the Saints have ran the last 2 weeks, maybe have run 23 plays or something in the red zone. And Tyler Shough has only attempted like 2 passes out of those 23 plays. Like, what are we doing? I understand Taysom Hill was a good player, could be a good red zone threat. I'm not saying you don't use him at all, but this idea that as soon as we get in the red zone that we have to use Taysom Hill, it's not working. And besides the fact that it's not working, you would theoretically like to give your rookie quarterback some of those opportunities to see what he can do in the red zone.
Exactly.
So I agree. I think he needs to set him free. Like, what do you have to lose at this point? Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, and so look, and that's my big thing. I just think that Kellen Moore, and I've been talking about how I thought he's kind of in over his head, and he's been coaching as if he's in over his head. I need to see something different. Someone needs to go down there and tell Kellen Moore, you don't have Jalen Hurts anymore, you don't have Saquon Barkley anymore, and you don't have the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line anymore. Although they've pretty much stuck up the joint the last 2 weeks, they're still going to win the NFC East, but you don't have those guys anymore. Although the Eagles probably wish they had Kellen Moore back. He needs to stop coaching like he's at Philadelphia and coach like he's the coach of the Saints.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really kind of surprised by his demeanor in games. He seems very, like, they show him on TV, and I know a lot of people, he's writing the play sheet all the time, and that's okay if you're if you're able to do that and make the big picture decisions that you need to make and be engaged with your team and everything. But I haven't seen evidence that he is, and he just sort of it feels like he gets lost in the play calling sequence and forgets to coach the game sometimes. And that's something that maybe he can fix. Maybe he can learn to manage his time in game. But through 12 games, I'm going to say in what we kind of knew was going to be a bad season, 11, I guess they play 12 games Sunday, through 11 games. That's probably my biggest concern from this season is, like, what do the Saints have in Kellen Moore? The personnel is whatever. It's all going to change. I think you have some promising young players. I think Shough, there's a possibility he's the guy. I think some of that is like the jury's still out on a lot of it, or there's even some promising aspects. And as far as, some of the guys, the roster's going to turn over. I wouldn't worry too much about the personnel. I do worry a little bit about Kellen Moore. Like, has he shown anything that shows you that he's going to be a successful coach yet? I haven't seen it. I think it's still possible. It's still early, but I haven't seen it.
By the way, Central Florida leads BYU 14-7.5. That's an interesting score. That could have ramifications of playoffs. We'll see. Ruby said, and that leads into Ruby, do the Saints go for a quarterback this draft? Kellen's pick. I'm going to say this. I absolutely agree. The jury's out on Shough. I'm not ready to crown him anything. However, I think he's shown enough that barring a complete collapse, the Saints are not going to go for quarterback in the draft. And I think that the Saints enter 2026 with Tyler Shough as their quarterback. I think he's probably done enough on that realm, again, barring a complete collapse, to be the starting quarterback going into next year.
I'm where I was a couple weeks ago on this, where, like, if the draft was this weekend, I would say, no, don't draft a quarterback. But there's still 7 weeks of evidence left, 6 weeks of evidence left. And then there's still the combine, and we don't know where the Saints are picking, and we don't know if there's a prospect they're just going to fall in love with. I mean, there's a lot of variables still. But if the draft were this weekend, I would say no, they're probably not drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, and I just think that all signs are pointing to that's the direction that the Saints want to go. Again, that's not necessarily what I would do, but I think that's the way that the Saints they're pretty much telling you. We talk about reading through the lines. We're batting about 850 here on the show. We don't always get it right, but if you read through the lines, I think that's the direction the Saints are going in. Tell me about it. 504 says that Kellen Moore is trying to win and build at the same time. And I agree. That's not an easy thing to do, but my problem is, I think, and you and I have talked about this. We talked about this in the press box. We've talked about it on screen. I think that it's not so much what he's trying to do for the future. It's the way that he's coached in the present.
Yeah. And I think, to your point about the Saints want it to be Tyler Shough, then let's see what he can do. Exactly. Like, I think your question here is free. Is perfect. Will he set him free? Is it 100% the most optimal decision to let Tyler Shough just cook in the red zone? Just see what he can do. Maybe not. Maybe it's not 100% optimal, but what you're doing isn't working anyway. And more to the point, you're 2-9. So just let's see what happens. If he's awful and he shows you that he's awful and you lose every game from here on out, that's not a bad thing. That means that you now have your answer. and you probably have the number 1 pick. So you know you need a quarterback, and you've got the number 1 pick to go get it if that's what happens. But he may very well show you that he can help your red zone performance. I think we've got to go test it.
All right, you got a show to go get ready for, and Gabe's going to come on in a little bit. So before we let you go, your prediction, your weekly, again, I didn't make a slide for this, so we're just going off the cuff here. Your weekly prediction: Saints, Dolphins in Miami Gardens or wherever the hell they play. I don't know what town it is. Doesn't matter. Saints at Dolphins, and without saying pain, what is your prediction?
I have the Dolphins winning 24-19, and I actually don't feel great about it. This does feel like a spot where the Saints could just pop up, and the Dolphins are not a very good team. Let's be honest. I mean, they don't defend the run very well. I'm curious to see what Devin Neal does, but I certainly don't think the Saints are going to boat race the Dolphins, but it's like, I don't feel great about picking the Dolphins. I kind of got burned last week picking the Saints, and I'm just, until I start to see some changes that they are going to just maybe loosen the reins on Shough a little bit, I'm done picking them.
The Dolphins have been very Jekyll and Hyde as of the past 4 or 5 weeks. I thought that Coach Gucci was a goner. He's found a way to stick around, and it seems like he'll make it through the end of the season. I guess there's no reason to fire him now. You might as well just go through with the rest of the season. Someone asked earlier if the Saints win, do I think that they fire him? The answer is no. I don't think he's going to get fired at all. However, I'm going to make a prediction that this is the Saints' best effort of the season. I think the Saints are going to win this game. I don't think they're going to boat race anybody, but I'm going to pick the Saints here, and I think they're going to score in the upper 20s. What am I talking about? I think Saints win 27-20. Going way out.
I believe is 26 their season high. That was against the Giants, aided by 5 turnovers in the defense. Yeah.
I think they're going to get multiple turnovers here. Not necessarily 5, but I think they're going to get multiple turnovers here. I think Shough's going to play well. I think even without Alvin Kamara is not even here, so you even need to think about Alvin Kamara. I think Devin Neal will get maybe 18 touches, and I think the Saints are going to play well to them. Again, I'm assuming that Kellen Moore is going to take some of the reins over Tyler Shough, and I think Tyler Shough throws for 260. How about that? That for a prediction. Saints, Christopher Crump says Saints 24, Dolphins 13. Ruby says 27-21 Dolphins. Apalachicola says 48-3. All right. See, now you're just trolling. I mean, let's Apalachicola, I think you're new here. I know the Dolphins suck, but I think you're new here. But this is a show based in reality. And I've already gone to the extreme edge of reality, predicting the Saints to win by 7 and scoring 27.
Saints win 48-3. He gets to co-host Monday's show, dude.
I think it will. If the Saints win 48-3, Apalachicola, you are the co-host of Monday's show. Charles Mangus says Saints 24-18. All right. Let everybody know how they can find the LSU Insiders and the Saints Insiders.
It's just as easy as searching LSU Insider or Saints Insider on YouTube, or also Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We are planning on doing a reaction show whenever we get Lane Kiffin news. I kind of thought I was going to be doing it from the soccer park, but it's now 1:00 and we still haven't heard anything. So I don't know what's going on. I'm going to try to get some lunch, and we'll be back this afternoon or this evening to talk about it.
All right. Well, we'll be watching out to see what you guys have to say. And always great stuff from our LSU crew and our Saints crew. And we will talk to you back on our regular schedule next Friday when for the love of Pete, please know everything that we need to know about what the hell's going on. We'll talk about some championship games and Saints Tampa next week.
One question before we go. Are we doing like a World Cup draw preview on next Friday's show? Because that's next Friday.
You and Gabe are going to do that. I'm going to set up the channel and y'all can talk about whatever the hell. If y'all want to, well, you might have 3 viewers on that show. Never know.
Most popular sporting event in the world, my man.
Not on this channel, it ain't.
Fuck that noise.
Talk to you next week.
All right, we'll see you later.
Zach Ewing, everybody. The day we have a soccer show, is the day that means that I had a heart attack the night before, keeled over, and Gabe took charge of this channel and just changed it from Dattitude to Sockitude. And if y'all watch Sockitude, y'all need to get yourselves a life. Ain't nobody watching no Sockitude. Nobody got time for that. Kyle Sherman says 24-23 Saints. My dog says he just subscribed. Never get him rid of. We don't want to get rid of you. We have done this show this is season number 5. I started the show in September of 2021. I think I've only banned 3 people, and they were like real morons. Okay. They were like way out there dumb. They were one of them. The last one was just super troll, and I got tired of his shit and just said adios. So you got to be really bad. If you get banned from this show, you need to check yourself in life because you got major problems. If you get banned from this show, just saying. Oh, I showed that. Kyle, there you go. You get shown twice. 24-20. UBN's picking the Saints, and he's saying it's 31-30. Now, what you been drinking? Josh says he hopes the 43-8 guy is right, just so I have to pay up. And I will, too. That's the sad part. I'd have to go find him, but I would have him on the show. It might be a short show, but I'd do it. Cannon says soccer's boring. Tom says soccer doesn't have commercials for a reason. Nobody watches it. All right, Tom, people watch it. A lot of my friends watch soccer. I don't know if Clyde Verdant is watching right now. He's a huge soccer fan. He's also, people watch soccer, watch weird stuff. I'm going to ask Gabe what else he watches. Coming on in just a minute. All right, let's go back to the LSU slide because I want to get back to LSU. Gabe doesn't want to talk about the Saints. Gabe Henderson, welcome on this Saturday afternoon. We're going to go about another 10 or 15 minutes because I got to get myself ready for LSU, Oklahoma, baby. I'm gearing up. I'm pumped up.
No,
Come
you
on,
don't.
you're pumped up with me. You're pumped up, aren't you?
Not at all. I probably won't even watch.
Come on, man. You're going to watch.
I probably will.
Yeah, you're going to watch. I know.
Reluctantly. I've watched every snap this season. Might as well keep the streak alive.
Mark Gapsky says 31-24 Saints. All right. I don't know what is going on. I don't know if I'm getting sick or my nose is itching like hell. If y'all want, I swear. I'm not
talking poor about soccer.
No, I don't know what it is, but people are probably thinking, people don't know me, like this dude doing like some illegal substances or something. He keeps touching his nose. No, it's itching like crazy, and I don't know what's going on. It's driving me ballistic, driving me nuts. All right. Your thoughts on LSU football situation. I know you had some thoughts and you wanted to say.
Well, I had some thoughts on your short.
Okay.
By the way, you said earlier that the guy who called Lane Kiffin a certain gardening tool was a kid. He's not a kid. He's a 40-year-old reporter.
He's a kid. That's a kid to me.
40-year-old On3 reporter.
He's a kid. 40 years old is a kid.
By the way, the official account of Lane
That
Kiffin's
dude's 40 years old, by the way.
Dude's 40 years old. Yeah.
He needs to get a life.
Yeah, and he took to Twitter after to celebrate the
I know.
Lane Kiffin
Because he's
ridiculous.
Some
ridiculous to act like that as a reporter.
Some people actually think that that's their way to get into social media fame now. I mean, just to be a dumbass, and being a dumbass only lasts for so long.
I thought Lane Kiffin handled it perfectly.
Yeah. UBN says white stuff on my chin. That's called gray hair, buddy. You'll have some soon. John says he thinks Lane is trolling LSU. Sadly, John, I don't think he's trolling anybody. I said 92.5. I've upped my percentage. The highest I've been. I've never been this high on my prediction of Lane Kiffin coming to LSU. 92.5%. Whoop! Wait a minute. Just ticked up. 92.7%. It's just gone up. That's my prediction. What's your percentage?
I'm with Zach. I think 90.
Okay, you're below me. Okay, that's
just because there's an unpredictability factor with Lane Kiffin.
That dude's so weird. All right, so you wanted to talk about my short, and for those who weren't here earlier and those who haven't seen my short, and we got a lot of people out there, so my short basically, you can go back and watch it after we're done here. My short basically said that it was for LSU fans who think that Lane Kiffin's going to be loyal this time This time he really means it. He's going to come to LSU and he's going to stay at LSU. And even if he stays here for 4 or 5 years, that may be good for some, but I can tell you right now, if Lane Kiffin comes here and 4 years from now decides he's leaving for Alabama or Texas, Tigers fans will go ballistic. Most of them, not all of them. You might not. But
I don't think he would do that.
You don't think he would do it? Okay, why not?
No, and everyone says he's disloyal. He's been disloyal once in his career. And if he leaves this time, I guess you could say twice. But he's only been disloyal once, and that was to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And that was to go back to USC, a place that he had coached for 6 seasons as an assistant, a place that he clearly had love for.
He was disloyal to Alabama when he was supposed to be concentrating on the national championship game, and Nick Saban told him to get the hell out of here and go to FAU like you want to go.
Yeah, it's because he was getting a head coaching job. That's not disloyal. He was
right, but he wanted
job.
to. He wanted, if he was so loyal to where he was, that was disloyal. He was. I mean, you're supposed to worry about that later, right? You're supposed to worry.
So I crunched some numbers. You wanted to talk about numbers. You know me. I'm not a
no. Hey, hold on.
Guy.
I'm all about you talking about numbers. You can talk about whatever numbers you want. But my problem with numbers, you know me, I do like numbers. Mm-hmm. But my thing is, I don't want people to use numbers when they're convenient for the use.
Yeah, I'm not using them when they're convenient. I'll use them.
I'm cool with you doing what I'm saying. There are people in the chat who like to use numbers when they're convenient. When they're not, they just give me some BS reason why Lane Kiffin's better. Go ahead. I'm not saying you're doing it.
Lane Kiffin has been coaching since 1997.
Okay.
He's
coaching. You mean as an assistant coach
at all? Okay. Yeah.
Coaching.
His coaching career is 1997. He's had 10 stops.
Okay.
So that's 10 stops in 28 years.
That's 2.8. That's one every.
Jon Sumrall has been coaching since 2005. He's had 8 stops. Kenny Dillingham has also been coaching since he's been coaching since 2007. Sorry. And he's had 7 different stops.
Isn't he like 35?
Yeah. He's 35. Been coaching since 2007.
So he's been coaching since he was 18?
17.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop you for a second.
Quarterback coach at a high school.
I don't and look, I'm not trying to poo-poo on your numbers, but I'm gonna say this. I don't give a rat's ass what anybody does before the age of 30. Because you're almost 30. You're getting closer to 30. You know what I'm talking about. What you do before 30, especially as a male, doesn't mean jack. Okay, it doesn't. We're not. And I was told this long before I got to 30, but I had many women tell me all the time, they're not really men until they're 30, and it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but it's true. So anything they said,
Lane Kiffin, it's a little bit older because he took
that's right. You got a point. I hear what you're saying,
but here's the thing with Lane Kiffin is everyone likes to talk about he's so disloyal. The only program to this point that he's been disloyal to, pending his Ole Miss decision, is Tennessee. That's the only one. That's the only fan base that can look at him and say, this guy was disloyal to us.
I know this. I will say this in his defense. Even though he's been stinky at some of the places he's been, there aren't many fan bases where he's been where they hate him.
He has in the NFL, and that was really it. I mean, he tried the NFL once and wasn't good.
I think he's going to go back one day.
I don't think he will. I really think, especially because yesterday he confirmed that Nick Saban is advising him, and he goes to Nick Saban for advice. I really think he's going to take Nick Saban's advice, and Nick Saban has always said the biggest regret of his career was leaving LSU. I don't think Lane Kiffin will leave LSU by choice unless he's fired. I really don't. I think this is the place that he's really going to want to stay.
Cal Brady always said, don't play ball in the house, but the kids didn't. Oh, okay, that's a whole different. Nobody even knows what the hell I'm talking about. Don't play ball in the house. I'm just saying, look, I just don't trust this guy. I guess that's what it comes down to.
That's fair.
I just don't trust him. He's a quirky, weird, and look, I guess a lot of coaches I know a lot of coaches, obviously being in this business. I've dealt with coaches my entire life. So don't get me wrong. I know a lot of coaches are quirky, but there's something not right about that dude. And I just don't, I don't know. It just maybe it's, I don't know. Feels weird.
I
know
have
you're a
gut
Kiffin
feeling,
fan. I know you're happy about Kiffin. You tell me and tell everybody. Okay, so I'm not on the Kiffin. I'm not on the Kiffin train. You tell me. I want you to make the case here. Why go oppose me? Because I know you have a good logic reasoning. Not everybody just says whatever comes to their mind. You have logical reasoning why Lane Kiffin is not Brian Kelly.
Because the only real thing, I mean, we look at Brian Kelly's record. He didn't fail at LSU. You and I have always maintained that. He left the program in a better place than he found it. So Brian Kelly, the problem with Brian Kelly is he didn't mesh. And I know everyone brings up personality. It's true. He never connected with the fan base. He was off on the wrong foot from his whole family thing from day one. And then he was just such a hands-off guy. He never bonded with his players.
I don't disagree with any of that.
He's got former LSU players saying they never knew the guy. Outside of X's and O's, he never got to know him. Lane Kiffin is not that guy. Lane Kiffin is, I think Lane Kiffin in terms of coaching.
People got to know Nick Saban?
No, but Nick Saban won to a point where it didn't matter.
Well, that's my point, though. I mean, he was winning at Notre Dame. They were still going to Notre Dame.
Nick Saban has the personality that LSU fans love, and I think Lane Kiffin does as well. I think Lane Kiffin is the embodiment of what LSU fans want in a coach. He's a troll. He's
definitely a troll.
Kind of an ass. He's kind of an ass, but
he might be. For all we know,
he backs it up.
He could be one of these idiots in the comment stream right now. For all we know.
Did you see? You probably didn't because you've been on air the whole time. Lane Kiffin posted from his dog's account a picture of the SEC. He posted a picture of the SEC championship field mocked up with Georgia and Ole Miss and said, "Do they allow dogs on the field?" He's leaning into this whole.
By the way, it is snowing hard in Michigan, Ohio State. I told y'all to bet the damn under in the Michigan Ohio State game the other day. It is 17-9. So
17-9.
In the middle of the third quarter. William, calling my comments section idiot. I didn't call them all idiots. I haven't called you all idiots, but absolutely. There are plenty of morons in the comment stream every show. And if you don't think that, you're not paying attention. But would it shock you if you found out later on? I mean, maybe William is really Lane Kiffin. You think? Possible. UBN says he's not. Would it shock you if you find out Lane Kiffin was actually watching the show?
No, because Lane Kiffin is chronically online.
Exactly. 100% wouldn't shock me.
I mean, as we are seeing in real time.
By the way, Lane, Coach Kiffin, if you are watching this show, Jim at jimderry.com. I've been in the media for 35 years. I promise you, I won't call you a hoe if you come on the show. That rhymes.
I like Lane. I don't think I've ever really said
and look, Gabe can come on the show and he can kiss your ass. By the way,
I screamed. I yelled in Lane Kiffin's honor last week.
I don't think I've ever done a text comment. I mean, that's where we are now. We're all over the place. So I got a text comment for you. My friend Dave Gordon says, "Hey, we were older than 30 when we caught the forest on fire behind my house." He's asking for a friend.
That's just guys being dudes.
I mean, you can't stop. You got to be an immature dumbass sometimes, right?
You know what? Tom makes a good point. Tom says hoes make good recruiters, and nobody knows that like a former Ole Miss coach, Hugh Freeze.
William says he's packing his bags as we speak. He's headed to Coach Penn State. All right, William, you win.
No, Brian Hartline is currently on the sideline at the big house.
That's a good one. I enjoyed. All right. Final thoughts as we go off this afternoon, and LSU Oklahoma as we record this here. Many of you are watching live, but some of you will watch it later. We're about an hour away from kickoff. Woohoo! LSU and Oklahoma later on. Just tell me what you were telling me before we went on the air.
Well, so I'll give you two final thoughts. One on Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin has coached. He's been the head coach of a college team for 14 seasons.
Okay.
7 of them he's won 10 plus games. I think there's a lot to like with Lane Kiffin. I think he's going to fit like a glove, not OJ's glove, any other glove. With
if
LSU.
it fits, you must have quit. Oh wait,
such a good line. Such a good line.
Oh, if it doesn't fit, I gotta. You know what? I'm gonna do this. I got a video on my phone. For the next show. I might find this and put it on the. That'll be your intro. Uncle Big Nick's got his intro. I'm going to have your intro. It's my daughter about 10 years ago or 11 years ago. I don't know why she said this out of the blue. She says, if it must fit, you must acquit. So I'm going to put that together for you.
And then I'll say this on the Oklahoma thing.
This show's crazy.
LSU fans need to give a huge middle finger to the SEC for what they've done with this week.
Oh, 100%.
Everyone else is 100%. Out here enjoying their rivalry games. Texas A&M was awesome last night. For what it's worth, I think that's the best rivalry in the sport, but I'm biased because I grew up in the state. Mm-hmm. Give us Arkansas on the final week of the season. Give us Ole Miss, give us Florida, give us Alabama, give us A&M. We have a whole list. Not Oklahoma. No. You know what? Actually, I will say this. Give LSU Tulane on the final week of the season every year.
Before we go,
back the rag.
Before we go, don't go anywhere yet. Before we go, okay. UBN wants to know, can we bring up how we did last week? And here's your answer.
Uncle Big Nick, can we make some picks today? Well, can we please?
The regulars will get the joke. The rest of you, let's just say.
Everett says, go away, Kiffin. LSU's not that desperate.
Is that Landry Kiffin? No. By the way,
I will say,
I'm about sick of Landry Kiffin ruining my TikTok feed. I don't know how this happened. I do not subscribe to her at all. I don't. She keeps coming up. Like every time I turn TikTok on, it's some new Landry Kiffin TikTok. I don't want to see Landry Kiffin on my feed.
I will say to her, she's going to become an unofficial ambassador for LSU football. I don't know if you saw.
I think what she's doing is great. I'm not.
She was at a children's hospital with Weeks like yesterday or something.
I'm not bashing her. I'm just sick of her coming up on my feed.
I get it.
LSU Tulane would be awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to play. No little Rebel wants to know who runs Juice's account.
It's absolutely Lane. Absolutely Lane.
The curse is not broken. It's never broken. The only reason why
he canceled, Jim canceled it out last week by playing it twice.
Exactly. So I'm gonna make sure it's gonna go on. All right, we're gonna have the decision. Are we gonna have the decision today? By the way.
Yeah, I think we'll get it today.
All right.
I don't think Auburn's not starting the electric freshman who played for him last week. I don't think they really stand a chance in this game. Can we, before we go off, can we make predictions for where we think or who we think gets these open jobs?
Sure.
Auburn. Who gets it?
Auburn. Oh, that's a tough one. That is really tough. I'm gonna say someone that we haven't even mentioned. That's the best.
Yeah, I've got someone we haven't mentioned.
Who?
I think it's DJ Durkin. I think DJ.
Oh,
Durkin.
yeah, that you know what? The defensive coordinator. I agree. And look, and there's a reason why, because their Auburn AD is kind of insisting that he stay on, and nobody wants to keep him on. So then they may have a choice of not have a choice and make him the coach. I think I agree with you. Okay, I'm
Florida.
I think Florida is going to be the Washington coach. What's his name?
Jed Fish. I think it's Jon Sumrall. I think Sumrall takes that job.
I think Sumrall's going to Ole Miss.
Okay. So then you think LSU's Lane Kiffin. I think we're aligned on that.
I think LSU's Kiffin.
Ole Miss.
I think once he decides, I think Sumrall goes to Ole Miss.
I think
he'd rather go to Ole Miss than Florida.
I think Alex Golish gets the Ole Miss job in that case.
I think Ole Miss is. And this is credit to Lane Kiffin. I think Ole Miss is set up to be really good again next year. And I think if Sumrall's trying to judge, I'm sorry, Florida fans, and I know there's some Florida fans watching right now. I don't think there's any question that Ole Miss is a better job right now. Maybe not long term, But I think right now, Ole Miss is a better situation to jump into, just like Tulane was a good situation to jump into for Sumrall when he came here. I think that that's why Sumrall is going to go to Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm. And then Penn State. I think it's Brian Hartline.
I got to be honest.
I don't think anyone has.
And I think Blake Baker's going to Tulane.
Okay. I get a feeling Blake Baker might stay. Side note, did you see Mike Florio's post last night? You know Mike Florio, Pro Football
Yeah,
Talk?
I was doing play-by-play for a game last night.
He posted this was like midnight last night. He posted an article that he's hearing that Lane Kiffin is putting together his LSU staff. And in the article, he goes, I'm not going to break the Lane Kiffin to LSU news. I'll leave that scoop for another beat reporter.
Oh.
But what I'm hearing is that he's starting to put together a staff. And I was like, this is the most Mike Florio post ever. And I thought it was hilarious.
First of all, if he is going somewhere, well, no shit, Sherlock. Of course he's putting together a staff.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was funny. And then I think Arkansas.
All right, here's my...
Arkansas
is going to be screwed.
Ryan Silverfield.
Arkansas completely screwed. They could stick with Bobby. Yeah. And I got to be honest. If I were Arkansas, I'd give Bobby Petrino a 1-year contract and say, look, just stay here and we'll figure it out next year or in the offseason or whatever.
Brian Kelly's
not going to go to Arkansas.
Jimbo Fisher. I mean,
I don't think those two egos would allow them.
You know what Arkansas should do?
Becoming the Vanderbilt of 10 years, 5 years.
You know what Arkansas should do? This is not me talking about this. I think there are 2 coaching hires that need to happen. I think Brian Kelly needs to go to Boston College. I think they should fire Bill O'Brien. But I think Arkansas should do the exact same thing they did with Coach Cal. And I think they should go for Dabo Swinney.
If Brian Kelly goes to a Boston College, and I don't mean Boston College, I mean a school like Boston College, he's not going to do it right now. He's going to milk this money for a little while first, and then
fire Bill
go
O'Brien.
to a Boston
He's from
College.
Massachusetts, so that's
also okay. Yeah, I'm not saying that he won't ever go there, but there's no way he's going to let LSU off the hook for a school like. He would let him off the hook for a school like Penn State, who's not going to be interested because the fan base would go absolutely ape shit if they hired Brian. I mean, they would lose their minds if they went from James Franklin to Brian Kelly. Penn State fans would lose their ever-loving minds.
I think Penn State is very quickly realizing that they made a mistake.
Of firing James Franklin?
Yeah. Have you seen their recruiting class?
No.
James Franklin's already taken like 5 of their commits.
Yeah, but they didn't make a mistake. Sometimes
I agree.
Sometimes you just got to suck it up and say, okay, we suck. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree.
All right, we got to run.
We have an old piss fan in the comments.
Oh, we do.
Yeah,
Lane not going where? He's not going to LD. Where's LD?
No, he's not going to LSU. Got an old piss
fan in
the comments. Yeah,
Bruce.
I'll take you.
I'm telling you right now, Bruce. If you're an Ole Miss fan, if you haven't been paying attention, I want you to be able to keep Lane Kiffin. Okay, I know Gabe doesn't, but I'm on your side. I want you to keep Lane Kiffin. So I hope you're right. Maybe you know what, Hakeem, you could be right. Maybe Bruce Seals 584 is Lane Kiffin. I'll see you Monday.
All righty.
Gabe Henderson, everybody. We're about to go bye-bye, but look, if you're new to the show, this is not just what we do here on Breaking News Days. This is episode 4. It's not Dully DeBoja. Put your 4s up. I stole that. It is episode number 444. We've been around for a while. We have fun like this. We do stuff like this all the time. Subscribe to the show. Give us a chance, okay? That's what I ask you for. Subscribe to the show. Give us a chance. And if 2 weeks from now you don't like us, unsubscribe. Unsubscribe. If you don't like us 2 weeks from now, unsubscribe. What this show does is we base ourselves on reality, okay? I am a realist. People don't like what I have to say a lot of times because I'm keeping it real. Am I always right? No. But I'm right a lot more often than I'm wrong. I'm just going to say that. And if you we went independent, for those of you who are new here as well. We went independent 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago yesterday. We were released from the mothership. I'm just going to put it that way. And we are starting our own thing here. And I have one sponsor that is coming on as of next week. I hope to have 3 more within the next week to 2 weeks. If you want to jump on board, I put together more than reasonable pricing list. Just telling you. And this is me trying to sell the show. I am going to set up YouTube, by the way. So if you want to do super chats and all that, I'm going to do that in the near future. I want to make sure it's the right thing to do first. And I want to make sure I understand how to do it and how it all works before I do it. I've already monetized the Facebook page. But here's the thing. If you want to sponsor the show, you want eyes on the show, we have lots of eyes on our shorts, lots of eyes on our regular live shows. Now is the time to jump on board. And you are 100% right, UBN. We're independent. Maybe I need to get Hermie to tell everybody we're independent. See, Randall, this is exactly right. Randall and I don't agree all that often. We all don't agree here, but we respect each other's opinions, unless you're just a numbnuts. Then I might not respect you. But we have fun. When I don't respect you, that's when everybody else has fun. I'm just saying. If you want to subscribe, jim@jimderry.com. Not if you want to subscribe. If you want to advertise, if you want to be a sponsor of the show, jim@jimderry.com, or DM me on X or whatever way you know how to find me. And I will give you a price. If you want to find me on Facebook, I'll send you a pricing guide. I'm telling you, it is extremely reasonable. Pricing guide through the rest of this year. Randall, I will send you a DM if you're interested. You can find some pricing. Exactly, Josh. Independent outlets, baby. Josh has been doing it on his own. Y'all should check out his stuff, by the way. If y'all are fans of Louisiana high school, and I'm not just saying this, I'm glad you threw that out there. If you're a fan of high school sports, you need to check out Josh Preston's YouTube channel. When I say no independent out there is doing what he's doing, 100%. You want to talk about somebody that's working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Josh Preston is like, I don't know how he goes to all the games that he goes to. He's fantastic. Y'all should go find him and check him out. Chance Babin wants to know, are we just a Saints LSU show? Mostly we are Saints and LSU, but we do talk about the Pelicans. We talk about Tulane. And honestly, if there's a national story, we're going to talk about that as well. So we do talk about national stories as well. We also give you our best bets of the week, although we didn't this week because today just wasn't a good day for it. So we're on normally every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday live at 11 a.m. Monday, this is how it works for the new people. Monday is a show. It's just me and the guest talking, and Gabe will come on at the end. That's it. Just me and you. And we get plenty of comments. We get hundreds and hundreds of comments. Another reason it's the sponsor, by the way. We get hundreds. As you've seen today, we get hundreds and hundreds of comments for each show. I show as many of them as I can. I can't show them all anymore, but I show as many as I can. Then Wednesday is usually guest day. We get a guest, usually someone local. Not always, but someone local normally. And we talk about whatever the topic is of the day. And then on Friday, as you saw Zach today, and Gabe, and usually UBN, who's in the comment stream. Yeah. Jay Tucker Rafferty says I need to go to 5 days. I'm thinking about it. I'm actually thinking about going back to 4 days. We'll see. I'm not ready to go 5 days yet. That is a lot of work. Okay. Jay, I'm going to say this. I still have to do freelance work right now to help me pay the bills on the side. And so I can't do this I can't physically do this 5 days and still do the freelance and stuff that I need to do on the side to be able to do it 5 days. But eventually that's the goal. The goal is to go every morning at 11 a.m. That is the goal. And I appreciate you, Jay. I appreciate you, S. Callie. Hakeem, Big Dog, you always here. Randall, I appreciate you all. But that is going to do it for us on this special Saturday edition of Dattitude. Again, I thank you all, whether you're new, whether you've been here for one show or 444 or somewhere in between. I am so thankful for you, not just this Thanksgiving season, but always. Thank you for being a part of it. And we hope you will come back on Monday. Hopefully the Kiffin news comes later today. We'll have plenty to talk about Monday, both about Lane Kiffin, both about LSU. Where's Jon Sumrall going? We're going to talk about that. And, of course, We'll talk about whatever happens in the Saints-Dolphins on Sunday. We hope you all have a wonderful, glorious, fantastic, beautiful weekend. Until then, until Monday, we say, take it easy, my friends.